Hi, I'm Dave Oates, Head Researcher at FinderMonkey, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about one of the common attitudes we get from people who are perhaps thinking about looking for somebody, but perhaps don't always go ahead. And one of the things that stops them is the question that they have in their head is, why should I look for them if that person's never looked for me? Now, a lot of people have that outlook, and the truth is, if everybody thought that way, I guess nobody would ever look for anybody. So you need at least one person to take that bold step and try and find the other person to stand a chance of any success. However, we do find that people who've got that attitude, it's something that can change with age, and the older people get, once you've had children and things like that, and your life develops, and the person that you're looking for perhaps is getting older, and so are you. You start to think about, well, is there going to be another chance to do this? This could be the last time I get to do it, or it may already be too late. For us, it's never actually, it's rarely true that the person we find has not wanted to find the person. It can happen, but it's actually one of the more rare outcomes of a search. There are many explanations to why somebody perhaps didn't start the search themselves, or it would appear that that's what's happened. I mean, one is that they may have tried to find you, but were never successful in that. Another is that they may have felt they had no right to. This can happen a lot where you have perhaps absent fathers looking for a child that they haven't grown up with, and being a parent in the childhood years, they don't feel then that they have a right to go on and contact that child, because they don't just feel it's their place to do that. It may also be they're too scared to do it, and the fear that if they did do it, that what the outcome would be and that they would be rejected, which I think perhaps is what this sometimes this reticence to do it, to look for somebody, is really all about. Is the fear of what might come from making contact with somebody. I mean, ultimately, you'll never know what the outcome is until you take that step and go ahead and try and find somebody. Where somebody has tried to find somebody in the past but failed, there are many possible reasons for that. I mean, one could be, it often depends on what information you know to even try and find somebody. So there are circumstances, perhaps where adoption's connected, where the details of the person that you're looking for aren't even known to you to be able to start a search of your own. It's also a case that not everybody's aware there are agencies out there who can help in tracking people down, who have got far more sophisticated systems and methods to find people than the general public might be aware of. And as long as they're the kind of agencies that are reputable and do things ethically, then it's a really good way to do it, particularly where an intermediary service is involved, because it protects everybody and ensures the best possible outcome for everybody that's concerned. Where a person hasn't searched because they don't feel they have any right to, it's unlikely their attitudes to that are ever going to change unless there's some life-changing situation that encourages them to try regardless of that thought. However, it's likely that they'll never try unless you try and track that person down. So if the person you're looking for is an absent father, for instance, and you are interested in finding them, just because they haven't contacted you, don't ever assume that they wouldn't be interested or wouldn't respond well to contact, because we find often that's the case, but they're reluctant to ever start a search because they just don't feel it's their place to interrupt somebody's life after not being part of it for so many years. Probably the biggest factor that affects people stopping trying to find a lost relative is the fear factor, fear of what the outcome would be. Many people are fearful that the person looking for has passed away, and obviously that's always a real possibility when you embark upon any search like that. What I always say to those people is, it's possible, but the longer you leave it and think about that, the chance of them being deceased is only ever going to increase with time. So if there is somebody out there that you're thinking about trying to find, and you know that feeling never goes away, then you should just try and do it, because the time that you've got to find that person is only ever decreasing. The other fear factor things are rejection. People are worried that when they do get in contact, they will be rejected, and actually that will hurt, and so as a protection mechanism, people decide never to expose themselves to that, perhaps to that rejection, because they don't want to experience it. Rejection can happen, and obviously it happens in a number of different situations for various reasons. What I would say is most people we help and most people we locate, even when on the occasions where people aren't happy to have contact, there are usually some circumstances that can help people understand why. So for instance, if you're looking for a father who perhaps didn't even know you existed and you were born 50 years ago, and that person's been married for 45 years and has other children, and then finds out about you, it can destroy families, or it can be very difficult for those people to come to terms with that information. And if you're in that same situation, you could probably understand that. And so understanding and having empathy for somebody else's situation can often help you come to terms with what the outcome is, even if it's not a positive outcome like that you would have hoped for. But because you can understand the situation and perhaps have more information about it, it's not always as negative an outcome as it might first seem at the outset. So ultimately, if you're worried about perhaps whether you should or shouldn't contact somebody because you think that they should look for you, the truth is you're never going to know until you take that step and try and find them. What I would say is approach it in the right way, use a reputable agency, use somebody who will contact the person on your behalf to make sure that the contact is done in the best possible way, and you will stand a very good chance of getting a positive outcome from your search and from the contact.